About 30 years ago, when Good Shepherd was just starting out, Brad and I were starting to look at churches, and so a couple from Good Shepherd asked us in for a one-on-one discipleship. We went through a book, and we basically just went through basics of what's the Bible, who's Jesus, what's the gospel, and it was, even though both of us had gone to church our whole life, for me it was like the first time I'd really heard it, because it was done in a way that really was deep and organized. And after that, about a week later, I was doing something, and I used to have a very explosive personality, and something happened. My two huskies ran out the front door and headed for the freeway, and normally that would make me stressed and I'd get mad and jump in the car. And at that moment I thought, you know what? I really feel like God's in control of this. And for the first time, I realized that I didn't control everything in my life. And that was sort of the beginning of understanding God and His sovereignty. Growing up, I thought the Bible was this book of poetry kind of thing, a thing that was hard to read and only pastors read it, you know. And so as I read it, I realized it talks about every aspect of my life. And as I was following it, I realized that every time I did what the Bible said, things worked out usually in a great way, versus if I did it my own way, I didn't have great results. So I started realizing, wow, the results are better. Why would I not do what I'm learning? When I'm not reading the Bible, I'm stagnant. So I definitely need to be reading. And the funny thing is that I could read the same chapter today and a week from today, and it's going to speak differently to me. So it's not redundant, it's not repetitive. It's every time it speaks to me in a different way, and it depends on what I'm going through at that moment. I find that having that, whether it's a church Bible study or, your sermon series, reading through the book that you're teaching on, just having someone encourage me to read with them has really been helpful to me to keep moving forward with that. I guess it was about 10 years ago I had foot surgery on both my feet, and that was the first time I was the recipient of caring, because I'd always made meals for other people, or and so it was hard. I did not feel comfortable with it. And people started organizing meals, or coming over and doing stuff. Even one lady even came over and swept off my front step. My mother-in-law came over and did my laundry. It was very uncomfortable, but I got used to it, and I realized how awesome it was. Even if it was a small act, it just made you feel so warm and taken care of. And for a while, a young mother and I, on Friday afternoon, we would go visit some ladies in the church, and most of them didn't drive, so they were stuck at home. So we'd bring a basket and a thermos of hot water, and we'd just have a little tea party. Sometimes, being a busy mom, we're not able to go on a mission trip to Mexico, or sometimes we send our husband and kids to build a house and we stay home and do other stuff. And I found that my gifted area was working with people one-on-one, or talking to them, or encouraging them, or listening. I like to listen. So I started just trying to text people and then call them and write a note and meet them for coffee. And so those little, just even someday I might have 2 hours, I'll text 4 people and talk to a person, and it maybe happens once a week. It doesn't have to be some huge commitment, but I just feel so encouraged, and I feel like even if I'm talking to them and send them a verse at the end of encouragement, and that's sort of my little area that I can always do, even if I don't have a big mission project or something else that I'm working on.